Hi, Francesca. Let me just ask you first of all to introduce yourself, just in case anybody doesn't already know who you are.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Francesca Nicasio. I am the founder of Credible Copywriting and beafreelancewriter.com.
Okay, and it's such an awesome coincidence that I started beafreelanceblogger.com and you started beafreelancewriter.com, and it was almost exactly the same time, wasn't it?
Yep, I know. And it
It
was,
was like the first time we met, we went, oh, look, we have the same URLs.
yeah, and I believe it was during that fire pole marketing scavenger hunt that I found you. I was like, oh, she
Yeah,
looks interesting. Oh, we have almost the same URL, so that's cool.
exactly. So yeah, so I'm focusing on blogging. If anyone wants information about other types of writing, beafreelancewriter.com sounds like exactly the right place to be. Okay, so can you just tell us quickly how you became a freelance writer?
Okay, well, my freelance writing career started when I read Peter Bowerman's book, The Well-Fed Writer. That book pretty much made me realize that I can get paid well doing what I love. So I followed his advice. I started doing pro bono work for my family and my friends. And I also started writing for theexaminer.com, which paid very little, but I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the samples. And then once I accumulated enough links and enough portfolio pieces, I started approaching businesses and offered my services. I also built a website, I learned WordPress, put my samples on there, and I got the ball rolling from there.
Awesome. So what kinds of work do you do now? Are you just doing blogging, or is it all sorts of things, or are they just a couple of things that you focus on?
I do mostly blog posts. Actually, about nearly or practically half of my freelance writing income has come from my blogging clients, but I also do press releases, web content, and other types of longer types of content, such as reports. I did a case study, a couple of case studies earlier this month, and all these other things.
Awesome. So you say like 50% of your income at the moment would be from blogging, or 50% of your workload?
Income, income.
Cool. So exactly what blogging services do you offer right now? Do you have packages where people can get a certain amount per month for a certain fee, or do you price it individually for every client?
I charge individually for every client, but I generally offer two types of blogging services. The first one is pretty straightforward. I just blog for the company blog, which is they either give me a WordPress login and then I type in my post directly, or I send an email with the blog post and they'll be the one to upload it. The second type, I guess, is a little more complicated. It's where I ghost blog guest posts on the company's behalf. And
Right, yeah.
that's, I think this is something that's really in demand. I did a couple in 2012, but 2013 just exploded in terms of ghost blogging. And I learned a lot of things along the way. The first one is to charge more for ghost blogging gigs. And I don't,
Yeah.
it's just me, but when I first started doing it, I charged my usual rate. And I don't know why I did that. But I started reading blogs, and writing forums, and they all said that you should charge more because you're not going to get a byline and you're not going to get
Mhm.
a sample out of it. So you deserve to charge more. And so I did. And that increased my income in the process, which was good. And then the second thing that I learned is it's best to do it for companies that have existing relationships with other blogs. In other words, if you're going to write a guest blog, you're not going to be the one pitching or finding blogs and pitching ideas and doing all the waiting. They'll be the ones who do it for you. And I learned that lesson the hard way. There was one time when I was approached to guest blog on their behalf, but I had to do all the legwork. And I initially agreed because I do a lot of guest blogs for beafreelancewriter.com and I'm having a lot of fun and I've had success doing it. But I learned that when I'm doing it for another company, it's not as fun. And I realized that I was doing more emailing, I was doing more pitching than I was writing, which was not my ideal type of arrangement. And then additionally, guest blogging can take time. It can take time for the post to get approved and get published. And since I usually get paid in full once the post is approved. I didn't get paid in full as quickly as I would have liked. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that I've learned. And so when I'm guest blogging an article or when I'm doing this type of gig, I make sure that the company will be the one to take care of all the pitching and finding and everything. However, I'm not saying that freelance bloggers should never ever take take this type of gig where they have to pitch and all that, if you're up for it, then by all means do so. Just remember that when you take on the role of guest blogging with the pitching and the legwork, you're also taking on the role of like blogger outreach and, PR person. You're not just a writer anymore. So be sure to charge accordingly.
Yeah, cool. So when you're looking for new clients, where do you start? Do you go straight to Google and type something in? Do you have certain websites that you look up businesses on? Where do you begin?
Two websites. I find my potential clients either on LinkedIn or AngelList. So first is LinkedIn. I do an advanced search. There's a box at the top part of the page. I do have a premium account though, so I don't know if this is available for everyone. But what I do is that I type in a keyword, I set the search for companies rather than people, and then LinkedIn lets me narrow down my search either by number of employees, location, industry, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 1000 company. So I do all that. I set the parameters. I enter in my keyword, which is usually e-commerce, social media, online marketing. And then when I hit send, boom, LinkedIn just generates a list of companies that have, a LinkedIn page. And so that right there is a potential list of companies. And what I love about it is that aside from being really easy to just type in a keyword and just search, LinkedIn sort of pre-qualifies your clients for you, because if a company took the time to create a LinkedIn account, and that means they see the value in social media marketing and they see the value in LinkedIn, and they'll be more likely to hire freelance bloggers compared to companies that are not on LinkedIn. So that's what I love about this method. The second one is AngelList. I'm not going to get into specifics because AngelList is sort of for my target audience. It's a network, it's a directory for investors, tech companies, developers, and those are my types of clients. So my advice for freelance bloggers is to find your AngelList, find like your yellow pages, a yellow pages for your industry. So if you're a travel blogger, see if you can find a community or a yellow pages specifically for the travel industry and find clients from there.
Awesome. So when you've looked around on LinkedIn and AngelList and you've found a few people that you want to reach out to, how do you contact them? And what do you say when you first contact them?
This is the most time-consuming part for me because I really check out the websites, the clients one by one. I try to get a feel of their culture. I check out their social media pages and all that. So if I feel that I would like to work for them. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Carry on.
So if I feel that this is a company that I'd like to work for, I would send them a highly, highly personalized letter of introduction. And so, the first paragraph would introduce who I am. I'm a freelance writer, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd send in a genuine compliment, like, I love how you're doing business. I love how you're helping all these types of people. And then I think the most important part is that I send them suggestions and recommendations. Like I said, I look through their blogs. I try to make headline suggestions, topic suggestions. I point out typos. And so I mentioned all that in the letter of introduction. And then I also send out relevant samples. So obviously, if I'm reaching out to a social media marketing company, I'll be sending them links to blogs that I've wrote, blog posts that I wrote about Facebook or Twitter. But if I'm approaching an e-commerce business, then I would send them a different set of samples.
Absolutely, yeah. So aside from this kind of level of detail, are there any other tips that you can share with us that will help bloggers who are either just beginning or kind of at the intermediate stages of their career to take that extra step up and become a higher paid blogger?
Well, I think the very, very first step, and this is going to sound cheesy, is to change your mindset and like believe and wrap your head around the fact that you can get paid well and you deserve more than $10 or $25 per blog post. But on a more practical level, I think freelance bloggers should keep improving their skills. So say you're charging $50 per blog post and you're writing for a relatively unknown or a C-level blog, then aim higher. Target B-level or A-level blogs and more famous blogs and pitch them a guest post, or if they pay for blog posts, pitch them an idea. And then when you land that article, you'll not only will you get a sample, but you'll get bragging rights and you'll get the confidence to actually raise your rates. And then another thing that I think bloggers can do if they're asking for a raise or whatever is to look at what they're currently doing. Take a look at your current client base and take note of the results that you got for them. Did you help them get more traffic, more engagement, more fans? The more measurable the results are, the better, because it's hard to argue with numbers. Ask for feedback from your clients, and if you hear good things, take that as a cue or as a starting point to discuss your rates. And then finally, when you're asking for a raise, I think as much as possible, it's best to focus on the client. So don't say stuff like, and I made this mistake several times in the past. Don't say stuff like, "I need a raise because I have a family," or "I need a raise because I'm working hard." I think it's best if you focus on them, on the client, and what you do for them. It's just more effective that way.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we're almost out of time, but can I ask you to give us a little bit more information about beafreelancewriter.com, what we're going to find there when we go visit and what we can do with it?
Absolutely. So beafreelancewriter.com is a website that will help aspiring freelance writers build their business. It's still under development, but right now, when you go there, you'll be invited to subscribe to my updates, and you'll also receive a free ebook telling you about the different types of writing gigs that pay well and how to find them. So like I said, I'm building the website so that it provides tips on how to become a freelance writer. But on top of that, I'm also building it to open up people's eyes to the fact that they can and should charge more for their writing, because that realization really changed my life, literally. And I want to share that with other writers.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was the point where I went, I have wasted years of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Charging this.
Yeah, you figure out that you can actually charge the same as a professional because you are a professional. And then you just want to slap yourself, right?
That's right. But yeah, it's that realization is really life changing. Like that was the best lesson I've learned so far in my life.
Okay, well, I hope everyone's going to head over to beafreelancewriter.com and get that ebook so that they can check it out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for talking to us today, and I'll be in touch again soon, I'm sure.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Sophie.
Bye.
Bye.